Action.
Hello, welcome back to our weekly podcast. We did record this once, we got halfway in, and then somebody called Uncle June, otherwise known as Hippie Boy, say hello.
Hello.
Um cheers. Forgot to record our voices. So we've
Right.
had to redo it again. It's probably going to be a bit shitter because spoke about
Yeah, we did
most of
some
the
good.
stuff, but we've got, like I said, we got Uncle June, otherwise known as Hippie Boy, otherwise known as Jack Goldman.
Okay.
Say hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Why is your mic so shit?
What do you mean?
Oh, jeez, it does sound awful, man. Actually, you sound like you're in a different room.
Oh, come on.
Oh, it's good now. It's good. It's good. We've also got Alice Miller,
Hello.
Atlas Miller,
Oh,
you guys.
otherwise
Are you
known
not
as
Atlas
Ollie.
Miller?
I know.
Atlas Miller,
I'm getting
otherwise known as
paranoid.
otherwise it's 99 Accept.
Yep.
So, first order of business, lads.
Didn't even introduce yourself there.
Oh shit, sorry, I'm Chode, known as Lost Pens, otherwise known as the LP, otherwise known as the Grand Old Duke of Pork. I'm known by many names. You've probably heard all sorts. I'm the Squunch person.
Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah, I'm
Squanch.
Squunch. Yeah. Right. First order of business. I might
Temmie's
meant
Twitter time.
Tammy's Twitter time.
We all got some tweets.
Tammy's
They're
Twitter
ready.
time. Right, let's pull up. Who's going first?
Jamie, pull those up.
Alright, we got
Jamie,
Jamie
come.
on.
Yeah, yeah. Jamie's been on leave for a while. That's why there's been a lack of podcasts.
The weekly podcast, yeah.
The week. Yeah, welcome to the weekly show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be weekly, but Jamie's a bit slow uploading, so
Jeez.
you know.
We cut his pay in half.
We
and
got
then
some
started,
uploading.
We had to reduce his pay, and he sort of reduced his workload. So yeah, right. Hippie? You can go first.
I'm actually trying to refine the thing.
Oh my
Okay,
for fuck's
should I
sake!
go first, then?
He's so ready. Yet go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, my tweet from T's Twitter time is I've just put it in the side chat there. Is
Twitter's time.
thread.
Sure.
Here's how I would solve the obesity epidemic.
It's
First
very
of all, I'd put all fat people in concentration camps so they can concentrate. nice use of words on losing weight and fixing their diet. Then I'd put major and strict regulations on what's allowed to be put on processed foods that's sold in stores. That's the first tweet.
I have a question on that. It's like, who the fuck asked for this thread? You know.
No one asked. No one asked. Okay. Then the thread
Not only that,
continues.
but that's sounding a bit illegal.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not too sure. You know, I might have to consult a lawyer, but
By the way, this thread is 3 tweets long. I wouldn't
oh
count
my
that as a thread.
fucking
That's more of a string, if you ask me,
Yeah.
than a thread.
But how long's a string? Sorry, you know. Is it?
yeah. Is a thread longer or is a string longer? I think a thread shorter.
A thread. Okay, then what would it be then? What's shorter than a thread?
A piece of yarn.
A yarn. Yarn's long. Yarn's really
Thick.
long.
And thick, isn't it?
Yeah.
A
Okay,
piece
good
of
one.
fibre.
There we go. One piece of a Velcro.
A Velcro
Okay,
hook.
then he continues. Then, whilst we're signing bills banning seed oils and red 40 goy slob, all fat people in the
I
camps are
just want
tasked
to
to
comment on
perform.
the word guy slap as well. You know, I searched that up one time, and
Yeah.
guy slap, it's like a theory that Jews are, you know, are like Sorry, is my mic bugging? I got my
No.
no. Jews are deliberately feeding non-Jews terrible food. You know, which insinuates that, you know, non-Jews who don't have free will or something. You know, you can't, you know, pick good food. You know.
Down, they're saving all the good food for themselves. I don't know what they're eating. They're just be eating good.
You know, I enjoy some pretty good food.
Oh,
Oh, come on. Nah, it's because the Jews were promised good food 2,000 years ago. So
It's not a very
Yeah.
funny joke. You know, I'm just gonna say I've heard that joke too many times.
Yeah,
yeah, well, that joke was promised to them 2,000 years ago.
and the number keeps changing as well.
Mm,
That's what I've noticed.
it's usually
Pick
4,000.
a number and pick. See 5,000, 4,000,
Oh, I'm
2,000,
sorry.
3,000. Jeez, pick a number.
Yeah.
The numbers were promised 5,000 years ago. Moving on.
Oh.
In other stories.
Let's analyze the thread.
All fat people will be tasked to
Hey,
perform
that was
resistance
mine,
training.
I think. Oh no,
Oh,
it
oh.
wasn't. No, mine was like I'm struggling to find it. It was a repost. It was that fat
Oh.
people are less than human or something.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's a Temmie classic right there.
It's like, well, no. You know,
I'd say they're more human, if anything.
indeed, you know that's a very good way of looking at it. You know, but you know, sometimes I'm in public and I do think, wow, this person is a bit big. You know, like, and they breathe a lot. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
That's what I love.
Nick on TikTok.
who the fuck is
What?
Nick?
Who's
Do you not
Nick?
know Nick, the one who's like, take that, vegans?
No. No.
Oh, come on. I need to get Jamie a photo of this
Just
guy.
pull him up to Jamie. You know, he'll do his magic.
I was thinking more Zizek, but
He's not that fat though, but he's
he just sort of
we are looking at the dialectic, so- and so on.
yeah.
Very, he's a funny guy. You know, he said something
Yeah,
which upset
this-
me a bit ago, but I'd have no idea.
I'll
what it
send
was.
I'll send a photo to Jamie.
He'll
Right,
pull it up for you.
right. I'll put it in the side chat of VC.
Anyway, moving on.
Right.
In other stories,
Is it me now?
I
Right.
it'll be you.
So
Sorry.
so the first tweet, this is a bit of a piece of fabric, but he didn't link it in. So I thought it's quite random. He goes, another day of being grateful I don't live in the USA. It's quite fair. You know, it's not too bad of a statement, you know. I get it. And then he goes, same day, don't know how many hours later, you know, it's gained more traction though, more views. He goes, honestly, if I lived in the USA, I would commit tax evasion. Now,
I mean, go on.
where is the link? You know, you just said you wouldn't want to be in the USA. Now you're telling us all, you know, that you commit it. You know, mate, don't get it.
Out of all countries, I don't think I'd be the most grateful. I wouldn't like.
Yeah, you know,
There's
I
worse.
think I'd
There's worse.
I think I'd choose the United States over a solid
Pakistan.
over 98%, 99.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
most other countries, you know.
Anywhere in Africa,
The-
pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not living in anywhere.
Well,
in
no,
Africa.
Japan's cool. Japan's nice in Asia.
Pretty much anywhere in Asia. I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to live
most
in Japan,
places.
mostly
Japan-
because I don't know Japanese, but
Yeah,
that's
And
beside
you'd
the
have to
point.
live in
that
Tokyo.
sounds like a bit of a chore to learn Japanese, you know.
Yeah, useless as well. It's only in one
Yeah.
country.
yeah. No, to be fair,
But I like Spanish. I can go to.
Yeah,
I learned French.
I could go to
Yeah.
Africa if I knew French.
Yeah,
yeah. But I thought we just agreed nowhere in Africa.
Yeah,
but
no.
I still wouldn't want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to speak to French people.
I know. I want to know his
Second worst
motivation
part.
though for the tax evasion.
Because he doesn't like Israel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, has anyone noticed his bio?
No.
A man sharing his beliefs about the world, right? And then under it,
6'3".
6'3".
And he's
Yeah,
rent free in your
he's
mind.
free in your mind.
He joined
It's like-
June 2019.
I mean, he does live rent free in my mind, but not for good reasons. Because he said bread was a modern invention.
He never said that. He denied saying that.
He didn't
had.
say it.
He's a denier. Oh, these damn liberals coming up with these lies about bread.
Finest lies.
Bread is guy slop.
Jeez. What is that all about?
Right,
Anyway,
go on.
moving on to
Hippie.
the third tweet.
The third tweet, I only had that repost thing. The fat people are less than human.
We need to get it up though.
You need to bring it up.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it for love nor money.
How about where is it? Where is it? I can try and get it up for Jamie.
One of my favourite ones though, just to put in, is bird flu. Yeah, they tend to do that, and he spelled both
Yeah.
You
U's
spelt
wrong.
I
both
saw
wrong.
that.
You spelt all ways of doing it wrong.
That's great.
Dr. warn cooking oil used by millions could be fueling explosion of colon cancers in young people. Okay, that's just a tweet he's reposted. I feel like I've gone too far. I'm back in 2024. Why has he deleted so many?
About 2024 though, by the way, right? There's a chain, okay? So on 31st of December 2024,
Oh, I know what you're on about. Oh,
at 11:54, he went last tweet of 2024. Then on December 31st, 2024, at 11:59, he went in 2025. I'm going to be more racist.
so it wasn't the last tweet of 2020.
Yeah,
And he just admitted to being more racist.
James. It's Jamie. Sorry, James. Oh.
Yep.
I want you to.
I found the tweet.
Oh, pull that shit up.
It's right at the top.
Oh,
March 22nd.
scrolling far down for it. But
Yeah, no. What were you saying, Ollie?
No, I'm just letting James put that on there. Ah, yes, I found it. Their brains don't work properly. Body fat and vibration. What? Vibration height are inversely correlated. They should not be allowed to vote. Wow.
Does he mean vertebrae height? Like back
Vibration.
height?
I don't know. It's Reese the Bra who he's reposting. I don't know the fuck that is, but
Okay, his pin tweet is 3 years ago I was slaving at a security job. Now I own a successful brand that you've all heard of. I've travelled to 10 different countries. I did 25 plus impressions
Do
a
you
month.
guys want to know his brand that everybody's heard of? By the way.
Yeah, Sabra
Say-
supplements.
Yeah. Everyone's heard of that, right?
No, I
I
actually
use it.
have. I have because he
I
sells
don't
them
know what the fuck it is.
ridiculously cheap on TikTok.
Oh,
I can't
don't know
say
what it
I've.
is.
And
He
only
does like
5,000
lion's
followers.
mane sort of shit.
What, like Jeremy Clarkson? He does lions.
Yeah, but like you know,
I like Jesse.
yeah, vitamin D. His lovely
Anyway,
Right, in other
supplements.
stories, man, we're glossing on some irrelevant guy. Just
Oh
so,
yeah,
yeah.
okay,
You know,
okay.
you know.
Sabra.
Ollie wanted to do a segment, YouTuber of the week.
Wait. Actually, no, give me a second. Can I just read out this tweet he's made?
Okay.
Yep.
All sexual deviance is due to parasites. And then he calls homosexuality a sexual deviance.
Interesting. No, I'll let Chode comment on that because he is our resident.
Homosexual.
I'm not
Yeah.
gay. I've got a woman. But
LP,
Did you-
how's the boy? The one that you sleep
the
with, you know?
woman is good. But the side man.
Just because you did it once doesn't mean then you change. Doesn't mean that.
The
Yeah,
parasite-free man only desires missionary while staring into his lover's eyes and saying, "I love you."
Okay.
I want to know what the parasite is.
Alright, no, I'm not.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're not
I
going
refuse.
into this.
I'm talking about the YouTuber of the week.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, who wants to start? As soon as I started with.
I'll start. You guys
Okay.
know Brave Wilderness, Coyote Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my YouTuber of the week. You gotta think, I only deeped this like months ago actually. It's like this guy
Yeah.
was putting himself through all this pain for some hits on YouTube, it's like
just for a couple grand. But once he's paid all this recording team and all these travel costs and shit,
yeah,
he's not making a lot, is he?
I'm gonna be the guy who gets bit by insects, that's my thing.
Imagine writing. You know when you're in like primary school and you have to write what you want to be when you grow up. Imagine writing that.
Yeah,
I want to get bitten.
the
To
next
be fair,
Clarity Peterson.
To be fair, right, he did become a snake milker and got 74 million views off it. That's all I'm saying.
That's quite. I mean, that's quite something.
Yeah,
That is
and
something.
Milk
there's
a
people
snake.
that keep snakes for free. They're
They're
I
not
see them
paid
on
for it.
TikTok. Yeah, and also I think they're terrifying people. I wouldn't do that personally.
Right, own a snake.
Yeah, no. I think
No,
that's
I
wrong.
wouldn't. I don't even like touching them. Too,
I,
too
I don't
I don't
scary.
think you'd get in that many situations where you have to touch them. To be honest.
No, because do you know when you like go to a petting like place, or like you go to like or you go to like a fair or something, and they've got like the stand for the snakes.
No,
I once went. I
No.
once went to this air
No.
show. Last year. I went to Duxford Air Show, and there was a petting area for lizards and snakes.
What, the air show?
I
Were they
like how you
flying?
displayed this as some relatable story.
But it just freaked me out the feel of a lizard, and
they're
so I'm
alright.
never going.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to them.
I'm more scared of
what
like
do you mean the air show?
little
You went to an,
insects and stuff. No,
you went
Oh
to an
yeah,
air show?
I've been to loads of air shows.
Did they have snakes there?
Apparently,
The snakes fly?
no,
there's a
but
movie,
they were
Snakes on a
kept in the
Plane. I never
ground.
saw it.
Yeah, there is a. I've not seen it either.
Wait, I think I might know what you're on about.
Yeah, snakes on a plane.
Snakes in a plane. Oh, okay, no, I don't. I'm just being a retard. No, bleep that, Jamie.
It's okay.
James, don't believe that.
James. Alright, well, who's you guys' YouTube of the week?
Charlie, you're next.
Mine's Cognito.
It's Cognito.
You know, science and maths at GCSE.
Oh, that's boring.
Well, mate, they've been helping me with my revision, so
Okay, fair enough. What about free
Yeah,
science lessons though?
Oh, I'm actually subscribed to them.
Yeah,
But-
free science lessons
yeah.
is better than Cognito.
Yeah,
Who's
no,
yours?
I like him. I like him.
Who's yours?
Coming up with them 5 minutes ago, I've gone with the Cambrian Chronicles.
I think you told me about them one time.
Mm.
What do they do?
I like. They do history videos about Wales,
About Wales. Yeah,
which
I like niche.
is really fun.
You know,
Because, yeah, it's really niche, right? In fact, it's so niche that often he's just like, oh no, man. Oh no.
we don't
It's
actually
great.
know much about this.
Yeah. I think that's so much better than, like,
Oh
you
my
know,
god!
thinking you know everything about something. Just be like,
no.
Can I
Yeah.
just say something?
Yep.
Boy in scientist has turned a year old.
What an honour.
What?
I know.
That thing we made.
8th of May.
Oh, wow. We might upload this on the
Happy
anniversary
birthday.
of Boy and Scientist.
No. It was long gone.
Oh,
Turned a
shit.
year old over a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
But that's still crazy to think we recorded that over a year ago.
Indeed.
And I'm still into doing voice impressions, you know.
Nope.
I've genuinely thought. No,
No.
I'm not going to. But I've genuinely thought voice acting could be just like a little side thing for me.
No.
I think I could do voice acting,
Not like I wouldn't like try and voice act already done characters.
but you know, just
But,
some
like,
random show.
Yeah,
Took you.
Mm.
yeah,
There's,
exactly.
There's this blind guy now on YouTube, and he does voice acting, which I think is a great career for a blind guy. That's
I know,
like
right? That's a killer idea.
He also surfs.
He surfs. Oh.
Yeah.
How does he know which way he's
know.
heading?
They can
Doesn't
hear
he just
well, you know. He
beat
just
a lot?
listens to the waves. I think.
He just listens for the sand.
Dolphin clicks, you know.
It's what like bats do as well.
Oh, dolphins are fucking mental. They're rapists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
outright dolphins.
They call
I
them-
really-
They call them the Harvey Weinstein of the animal kingdom.
They look cute, but they're fucking bad.
Mm.
Like, I wouldn't want to be one with
I
one.
prefer sharks. I think sharks are infinitely better than dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always some gimp though when you talk about sharks. It's like, nobody dies from shark attacks. Yeah, I'd like
Everyone
to see you
knows this.
swim with a shark.
Yeah, no, but at least with a shark, you know what you're getting, It's like relatively passive, but it can turn violent and kill you pretty easily. With a dolphin, you don't know if you're going to get raped, you're going to get petted by it, if it's going to eat you, or if it's going to be friendly.
It's still wrong what the Japanese do to them, though.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, I admit that. What they do to them is wrong. But,
Because I have a little
They're
thing.
not-
It's
I don't
like the
like them.
Brazilians, they see a tree and they want to chop it down, and the Japanese, when they see a whale or a dolphin, they just want to kill it.
Yeah.
So,
And when
What
they see
do
an
they
octopus,
do?
then we don't speak about what they do when they see an octopus.
oh yeah,
What
no,
do they do
anything
with-
in the sea, they just have a
What do
very
they-
weird attitude to it.
What do they do with octopuses?
Oh god, you're still a
Well-
spring chicken, but they draw porn with octopus tentacles,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Japanese
like
love the
wrapping
tentacle
around women and
No,
stuff.
no. Apparently, Japanese is really preferred to culture. Like because my girlfriend's Japanese. She was telling me about all the culture over there, and
Yeah.
like in Tokyo. Do you know how we've got Chinatown,
Of
right?
course.
They've got that for anime.
Anime town.
Well,
Yeah,
I had this
But
conversation with Ollie.
it's
Actually,
full of,
it's like
like-
they just love their cartoons. It's
yeah.
like,
Do you
it's
know
like we
why
don't
they like
stick-
their
We don't stick
cartoons?
Mickey Mouse on every
No,
billboard.
but do you know why they like their cartoons? It's because they're not allowed to be like sexual there, right? You have to be really conservative
Modest.
with the way you act with your partner and stuff in public, and and just the way you are. Like you can't show any affection out.
oh,
It's like
It's kind of based.
it's just yeah. So what they do to make up for it is they have really pornographic sort of cartoons to sort of express them desires
Hmm. It's
and
kinda
like rom-coms and
It's kind
stuff.
of like Europe for the longest time. Is the only way that kind of sexuality was expressed was through like novels and things.
Yeah, exactly. And but they express it through anime,
It's
and
kinda-
that's why like these anime characters are so sexualized, and they look like little teen, like
Oh,
and then you get the creeps that design them as teenagers and stuff,
right.
which these old men love because they never could have them experiences as a child and as like a teenager, so it's all really fucked up. But
dolphins. They
Fucking
found
back
this.
to dolphins.
They found this fish that makes them like high.
Right,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and then they pass it around.
Yeah, they pass it around like it's quite clever.
They
Yeah.
are
They're
smart.
really intelligent.
Yeah, they do rape things, but at least they're smart.
Yeah. I remember when Ricky Gervais played the dolphin in Family Guy.
Oh, he did do.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Billy Finn. I've got a mate called Billy Finn.
Hold Rick.
Oh.
You can't say this joke anymore. They won't let you say
So you believe in one less God than one less God than I do.
That's a good one. You have a science book.
And a religious book. And take them away for 1,000 years.
The
they'll come
science
back
book don't
the same.
change, but the religious one does change. He's got a lot of sticks that Ricky Gervais.
He's got good points.
Makes
But-
a good film. I like his films.
Yeah, he's got good points as well, but they're just overused.
Indeed.
Like you have to come up with a new point
Yeah,
after
exactly.
a while. You can't just run with the same. You believe in one less God than I do, sort of stick.
I agree. You can't spam the same point, but it doesn't
No.
make it wrong. But
Yeah, it just makes it annoying to hear after a while. It starts to lose its meaning after
exactly.
a while. I think.
You say
Oh,
you repeat the same thing, loses its meaning. It's like
Yeah, it's like the boy who cried wolf.
indeed. That's a good analogy actually. But
You
if
know-
if everyone's a liberal, if you name let's say I'm some I'm Charlie Kirk. I
Yeah.
go, you're a friggin' lib. Not that you'd say that, but if I call everyone a lib, then everyone's a lib. There's no such thing as a liberal anymore. At that point, because
It's just a
loses its
person.
meaning.
Yeah.
You say that about nationalities as well.
Yeah.
Very true.
That,
Very true.
yeah. I get it. You know. Okay, I'll add a little thing. Are all cultures equal?
No,
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the people that eat people in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
I think,
indeed.
if you've got some like cannibalistic culture, it's not equal. They should still have the same like human rights, but I don't see them as an equal.
Yeah, no, you know, saying don't deserve rights, but
I mean,
it's not
I
equal.
think
Let's
every
say
human,
equal.
yeah, I think every human deserves the same rights, no matter what.
I think they can do the same thing. I mean, do their own thing. But
But I believe that if you're eating someone, just like if you're like in a raping sort of culture, I doubt there's many out there, but there's probably a couple tribes out there, that are rapey.
yeah, only a few.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many there are, but like if your culture's rapey, I don't think you're an equal to me. I'm just saying it.
Indeed.
You're-
Do you
you're-
think that there's like let's say there's like a heap? Would you say there's like a heat map of civilized culture? Like, it's like not a coincidence that Europe is more civilized.
I think it's not a coincidence
So you think like
because
Europeans are just inherently more civilized?
no, 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 no. I mean, like, because it's easier to spread. There's a lot more colonization in Europe that allowed that sort of stuff to happen.
Like a lot more. I know what you mean. Like,
Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
ideology spread.
Because you had the Greeks. They had the first university, which was Plato's university. The Romans sacked it, got all their stuff. Then the Romans spread all those ideas. So I think
Yeah,
I mean, also, it was Europeans that invented the printing press and pretty, like,
yeah, that's a good point.
invented trains, invented cars.
Yeah, actually, this is an
the
interesting one.
telephone.
I've got you an
Alexander
interesting one
Bell.
about the printing press. We know it was the Islamic society which was actually ahead of Europe at one point, and then the pendulum swayed to Europe's way, and obviously we had the printing press, and there was like a discussion in the Islamic world, because this is after they kind of stopped with the whole science thing. They banned the printing press, a lot of their scholars, so they not that they had much knowledge to spread in the first place, but it's they could spread even less with a printing press, without a printing press.
Yeah.
So it's post Renaissance. We've been quite lucky, because we've had the feudal system broke. We could
I mean,
sway our own
the
destiny our own way.
Yeah.
Go
I
on.
mean,
Go on.
I mean, Europe as a whole, that sort of went, but we were still very much in the Dark Ages, past the Renaissance in England. I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah,
Like, we.
but what I'm saying,
Yeah.
my point is that it got better because
Yeah.
Europeans post Renaissance thought were able to decide their own fate. Whereas the feudal system, I mentioned this to Ollie yesterday. It's just it was rigid. You couldn't really advance at all.
Yeah.
There was
There's like a lot of laws. If you even opened up a body, to analyze the organs, you'd be sent to jail.
It was a time of no innovation. That's when the kind of Islamic
It
world
was pure religion.
beating Europe.
Yeah.
Obviously, European culture hasn't always been civilized.
No.
Of course. I mean, the Greeks, they called barbarians, the Germanics were the barbarians, because they made when they spoke, they made a bar sound, so that's why they call them barbarians. And so
Also,
it was the Germanics who were stupid at one point. Everyone's been stupid. That's
Yeah.
immoral.
Also, like you can go back even further to like when Homo sapiens were spreading, from Africa. Like, I've got a book called Sapiens, and it talks about the evolution of humans and stuff. You know, Neanderthals thrived best in England, and Europe and that sort of place, right? But there were a lot, and there were massive like sort of battles between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens back then for territory in Europe. So we were all uncivilized, when we were just trying to get territory as Homo sapiens, we were going against Neanderthals. There was a bit of interbreeding, a very small amount.
Yeah,
Um,
this is like
like
hunter-gatherer era.
yeah, yeah, and there were basically Neanderthals were a lot smarter than us to start off with. Like they had more built up communities. But the thing that let them down was their range of motion. They didn't have as good shoulder movement and arm movement and flexibility than us. So that's what let them down. So they were a lot more civilized than us, and we would try and attack them and claim their land.
Yeah.
And we would sort of split off into like little groups of people, and then eventually communities started to build. So we were all uncivilized, especially our culture, like our generations, we were really uncivilized compared to Neanderthals, for instance.
I didn't actually know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I don't know when there was the specific. There's not really a specific date when we
No,
went
but it's
uncivilized to
I,
civilized.
yeah. It's just a kind of process. Some people still haven't really worked it out. Not naming names, but but yeah, no. I'm just looking at the thing I showed Ollie. It goes from, this is Aristotle's observation. We've gone from a partnership. A partnership, so a man and a woman. They have children, and then
Yeah.
eventually a village builds. A community, and then actually no, then a household, and then a village. Because households unite, and then you have a city. It's not a dated process. It's just it's just a thing that happens. It happened in, I guess, it happened probably China, Greece.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, sort
Egypt,
of first.
the early. Actually, no, China, Babylon, Egypt, Greece. It happened there first. It took, Northern Europe quite a while. Still hasn't really took all of Africa. Not Papua New Guinea over there, Oceania.
So we were cold and shit, so
Yeah.
it's harder. So,
Yeah.
which apparently why we didn't have 2-story houses.
Because of the coldness.
Yeah.
But wouldn't we be warmer if we had 2-story houses?
No.
Heat risers.
You have one central fire, and then if you have 2, you can't have a floor below with a fire in it.
Yeah, you can have a fireplace.
This you had a central fire for cooking. You only had 1 fire.
No.
You can't have 2 fires.
It just
But
seems
in
like a
Rome-
design flaw.
Yeah, that's why we have houses now. It was a design flaw. But in Rome, you had
Yeah.
terraces.
I've been thinking. I think we should go back to Roman law, because Roman law, there was a rule that the patriarch had complete authority over his family, so his children and his wife he had the power of life or death over his children and his wife. So, I reckon we'd have a lot less bother.
Jeez,
We'd have a lot less Prince Harry situations.
I reckon he'd take control.
I don't think Harry's take. I don't think he's the shot caller in the marriage.
No,
to be honest with you.
no. I think
No.
Meghan Markle is playing the patriarch rather than the matriarch.
Yeah.
Um, moving on
Moving
to
on.
the next point. In recent news, we had a bit of a goer,
Oh, yeah.
a clash between
Elon Musk
Donald, Mr.
Elon
President
Musk.
Donald J. Trump, and
I know.
and Elon.
African
I
immigrant.
I haven't. I'm gonna be
An
honest. I
African
haven't been getting over it, man. I've been tearing up just thinking about it this whole time.
Yeah,
I was so invested in that relationship.
and your art and everything.
LP, I
Yeah,
feel
I
like you
like.
have some like thoughts on it. You know, I will let you start.
Well, I was speaking to my counselor about this. Counselor the other day about this. I mean, like, I just think it's quite funny how it like they were so close and then it all fell apart because like I don't really know why it fell apart. You probably know more about it than me, to be
I
honest.
don't. I
But
don't.
like,
It just kind
I
of
don't.
happened out of the
um,
blue.
yeah, it did, didn't it? I don't think there's much reason. I
don't
know
think-
one of the reasons was because Elon was doing too many drugs.
As you do.
He was doing
Um,
loads of fentanyl stuff.
I know that he deleted the tweet that he sent.
What one?
Oh,
There's been quite a
no, it's
Yep.
the Elon
Yep.
tweet where he insinuates that, or not even insinuates, like he just
He
says
said,
that Trump is on Epstein's list. That's why it's not been
but it
released.
probably
"Yeah,
well, it probably is. It
But
probably
but the
is.
cell phone with that is Elon Musk would have deliberately funded loads and loads of money, served in this guy's government as an advisor to someone who he believed to be a paedophile. So that was kind of
Yeah.
the cell phone.
and it means that the Democrat Party before in 2020 also would have just sat on it. When if it was
Yeah,
Donald
that's
Trump,
true.
they
Indeed.
probably would have, put it out there if they played dirty like they heard they do in America.
Yeah, that's very true.
So,
But have you seen like but like Donald Trump and Epstein have been seen partying and stuff together in the past.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
reckon there's a chance he
Look.
probably did go.
Wait, Epstein,
Yeah,
Jeff Epstein,
The finance.
yeah, the financier, the New York financier. You know
Is
the
that-
one that's Ghislaine X Maxwell.
the one with the island.
Yeah, the one with the island. Yes, Bob.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah.
God.
I think I would know. If
He's dead. He's dead. Trust me, he's
Jeff
dead.
Epstein was dead.
Trust me, he's dead, Bob.
Okay, I know we can sort this. Let's call Ghislaine and we'll
Ghislaine
sort,
Maxwell, you mean?
yeah, we'll sort this out.
No, you can't call Ghislaine Maxwell because she's in prison for the crime she committed with Jeff Epstein.
I think I would know. Ghislaine was in prison.
Bob, how do you not know?
I can't remember after that. But
No, neither.
that might be the funniest clip on the
Yeah.
internet.
No, it was good.
I think it is.
Takes
Can
a
Jamie
creative
pull
mind.
that clip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
James.
whack
James-
it. I'll put it
Thank
in.
you, James.
Oh, can Jamie pull it up, but with us voice acting over it?
Jeez, that's a big ask for James. We
No,
don't pay him
he
anymore.
can't do that.
Well, he
That
did it for
makes
boy.
sense.
He did it for boy and scientist.
No.
No, that was Professor Kunstein. That wasn't
Yeah,
James.
Jamie wasn't around for that.
Yeah, but didn't Jamie edit it?
Jamie's just my podcast producer, okay, you know.
Oh, okay.
He's Mr. Producer.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Producer. You make the best shows, Mr.
Well,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, I think it's just quite funny that I'm pretty sure it all started because Elon got kicked out because Elon said he was leaving, right?
Mhm.
Because he was only given 100 days for a contract or something like that, or slightly longer, like a couple hundred days as a contract. So he had to leave anyway. So once he left, it got revealed that he was doing loads of drugs. And then the big bill, the big beautiful bill Trump released. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. Basically got released. And Elon didn't like it too much because it, gave him shit, I'm pretty sure, and also just completely voided and vetoed all the budget cuts he had just made.
Yeah.
So and then that's why the beef started.
I see.
I might be wrong.
I know there's
Jamie-
this one guy in the whole White House that was trying to get him deported. You know.
Oh, he's back to South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard this as well. You can't. He's a legal citizen. And once you've built rocketry in America, you're not allowed to leave.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
rule. Like, if you work for NASA in America,
Oh,
you have to. I know, but like any rocket company, like SpaceX, NASA, anything like that, right? You have to stay because of missile technology. As soon as you've worked with rockets, you have to be an American citizen and can't leave.
They did that with the Krauts as well, didn't they?
Yeah. Like, you know, Einstein couldn't leave.
I'm pretty sure he wanted to stay there.
Yeah, well, you know, if he wanted to leave, you know, he couldn't.
Moving on to the next point.
Another story.
Moving on.
Another story. There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Actually, Hippie Boy poses this question:
Oh, I'll ask it.
Okay,
you want to
go.
ask it? You want to say the question?
If you want me to say the question, I'll say the question.
Go ahead. If
Okay. Is the freedom to own anything really freedom? We'll start with Uncle June on this.
On me, with me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I don't think it is. I don't think it is real freedom, because I think as an individual, we'll look at this individually first, rather than as a collective. I think we first owe ourselves, the best, right? So I really don't think being at liberty to use a substance like cocaine, heroin, because in an absolute free society you would be able to have those. I think that is a crime against yourself. I don't believe that's a victimless crime. Because you are the victim. You are putting yourself at harm. So that's just one point of mine. That the freedom to own anything isn't true freedom, because my kind of whole mantra on freedom actually is that it's not, we're not free from something. Well, we are free from something, but we shouldn't just stop at that. We are free from tyranny, but we have freedom to do. It's not just freedom. It's freedom and law, freedom to do, freedom to not do.
Yeah. It's like when people, I guess you could look at it when it's like, oh, well, you're imposing on my freedom, for free speech, or, to protest. So when a protest goes into a riot, you're not actually, that's not freedom, because you're imposing on other people's lives, and you're not letting them have, you're not letting them have freedom. So to have true freedom, you have to have rules.
Exactly. So,
violating AP, bro. You violate.
Yeah.
Just saying. Can't be hurting other people. You can do anything. Just make sure everyone else has their freedom.
Yeah.
That's the harm principle, which John Stuart Mill kind of he come up with the harm principle that if you don't harm others, then go for it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not too keen on that idea. Like, I've thought about it, but when you're on the spot and you're trying to come up with your points, I'm struggling. But I don't know, because I think if you take that, it goes back to my kind of drug point or whatever, Which I think you shouldn't harm yourself, in principle.
Yeah.
I mean, just what about just the idea of do no harm then, instead of saying you're not going to you're going to do no harm to anyone, including yourself. You're not going to do harm to others or
that
yourself.
Makes things a little difficult.
I mean, I mean, I'm doing the same. I'm struggling to come up with.
I mean, surface level, freedom to own anything is true freedom. Obviously, surface level it is.
By definition, you could say, but You know, we have to take
But
this
owning
in abstracto
but
and go,
but you
what
could
is
look
freedom?
at it in the
Let's do
sense that
freedom.
it gives you the freedom in purchasing, right? But having everything doesn't give you fundamental freedoms. If I have all the food in the world, it doesn't exactly give me the freedom to eat it. I could I could have all of it, but
You
then,
know,
some guy could be telling me, "Oh, I'm not allowed to eat it," I don't have the rights to eat it.
yeah,
Having stuff doesn't, dictate freedom
I mean,
like in other things.
it,
I don't know. That's mean that you wouldn't own your property though.
No, but you do own it. But they're like, "Oh, well, you're not allowed to eat it. Like, your mouth isn't allowed to open and shut. You own all of it. You can do what you want with it, but eat it. You can give it out to people. It's yours. I can't take it away from you.
That wouldn't be freedom because you're not free with it, then you can't do whatever you want with it.
I know, but that's the point. That's the point. It's still yours. The freedom to own anything. That's the question. It's not the freedom to do whatever you want with the things you own. It's the freedom to own everything. Is that true freedom?
I think if you own something, you should be able to do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, but owning stuff doesn't guarantee that freedom. So it isn't true freedom.
I mean, there are other parts to it, but if you go by just just the idea that if you own something, it's at your discretion, then
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it would be.
Anything to add, HB?
yeah, it's this. It's that I think food is a very good thing to compare things to. I think freedom is comparable to food. It's we, God, I'm I'm trying to like
What,
read a paragraph at the same
ChatGPT?
time. No, seriously, it's not ChatGPT.
No.
It's
No, I'm joking.
it's this. It's the kind of saying is only a child feels limitation in the freedom that we have. I think, but not. I think I'm copying it, but it's this. I feel pretty free, and the fact that we haven't got this absolute freedom is comparable to food. Oh God, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. I'm looking at my annotations and I haven't wrote anything on it. It's just I can't read a paragraph. Whilst there's I'm sorry.
It's
It's
okay.
It's
okay.
for another day.
The best of us don't perform under the best of us don't perform on pressure.
I don't know. People like Learner Box can. I can't.
Yeah,
Really.
I can't argue.
To
No.
come back to Joe's point about food, though, I don't think the freedom to own anything necessarily means you do own everything. It just means that you
No.
could own everything.
You can. Well, yeah.
I know, but obviously, I was just using the analogy of all the food in the world, but I didn't obviously mean that. But like, say I own a hot dog, guy next to me could be like, if you eat that, I'm gonna punch you. I have the freedom to eat it, but I don't actually have the freedom. There's a consequence. Just because you have freedom doesn't mean consequences.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I would say that the guy that's punching you is probably the only thing that's stopping that. I guess an analogy to, for example, you owning a gun in the UK.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say. Like, you could own any gun, right? But you're going to get locked up for it. So, you've got consequences. So it's not true freedom, I could, if I really wanted to right now, I'm not saying it'd be easy. I don't really know the people. But give me a couple of days and I could probably find someone that sells guns and I could buy one, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's easy or cheap. But if I get caught with that gun, I've got the freedom in the UK to basically buy anything, if I know the right people.
Of course.
And I have enough money. So, in retrospect, you do really have the freedom to own most things. But there's still consequences tagged on with owning some things. Like,
Or doing.
I have a mate that knows drug dealers. I could go get some coke or fent or something, But getting caught with that, I'm gonna get the consequences. I can easily go get it. Give me a couple hours and I could have it. But I have that freedom to own it. Say there's a society where I could get that easily because I had the freedom to. There's still consequences.
I don't. I don't think that takes into account the statement necessarily, because this is the freedom to own anything, and if you don't have the freedom to own it, like for example in the UK with certain drugs, then you don't have the freedom to own anything, and in that case it doesn't apply. You just can't own them, you know. You And the consequences is because you don't have the freedom to own it, not because
Yeah, fair
Um,
point. Fair point.
not because you do something with it which makes it not allowed.
Yeah. Or like, for instance, right? I do have the freedom in the UK to own a gun. If I go for the right means, I can own a gun legally.
Yeah.
Right? But even if there was the freedom to own any gun in the UK, there's going to be laws not to kill people.
Yeah.
There's still going to be consequences tagged on for if I kill someone.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a slightly better analogy.
That's a good one.
So I don't think there's ever true freedom with, even if you did have the opportunity to own whatever you want, if you have the right amount of money or whatever. I think there's still going to be laws in place to stop you from doing certain things. You can't own a machete now, but you used to be able to own machetes in the UK. If I but obviously they're not going to let me cut someone in half. So that's stupid.
I think my qualm is we need to be looking at freedom in abstract. What is true freedom? And because freedom obviously means to just do whatever, right? On paper, but we, no judicial system has ever gone off that, right? Ever.
Yeah.
So we do have to, we would have to develop a kind of definition, philosophically, on what freedom is, on what true freedom, what true freedom is, and I think that the true freedom is to do things that are reasonable, right?
Yeah.
To be able to do what is reasonable.
Yeah.
That to me is true freedom.
I think my case study for that would be freedom of speech in America, probably. You can say whatever you want within reason. You can
without inciting.
Even in England,
Yeah.
you can.
Because that would be conspiracy to commit murder if you go,
I kill the president.
I was thinking more fire in a crowded space. You can you have within reason you have freedom to say whatever you want. You can insult whoever you want, but you can't do something. Again, freedom from consequence.
Yeah. Also, I know this is sidetracked, but I'm looking at the boy scientist and pickles spelt wrong.
Sorry.
It's been like it for over a year and no one's noticed.
It's okay.
It's going to really trigger me now. But yeah, it's a good way to look at freedom. Freedom is the right to do things, but you have to accept consequences.
Of course.
And responsibilities.
Of course.
Because I don't think you can truly be free. If you're let to do anything.
Of course.
Because imagine how society would be if it was anarchy.
I
right?
just remembered it actually. It's there's this point. It's that it's like this Hindu poet posed this. There's like a metaphor. Is that you have a piece of string. It's loose.
Yeah.
it's been plucked from like a guitar or something, and
Yeah.
it's loose by itself. It can't do anything, right? This piece of string, it makes no sound, but attach that to the actual instrument, and this,
Yeah.
so the string is free technically because he can do
Yeah.
whatever with its string, but actually place it onto something, some order, then it's actually it makes something nice, right?
Yeah.
So we could argue, well, maybe there isn't true freedom, but then I would say, well, what is true freedom even good?
Yeah. It's like, is true equality good? Like communism. It sounds good,
But
but
is it good?
really,
Exactly.
it's not. It's not
yeah,
good
it's
because that's in communism. That's true equality. The idea of everyone sounding equal is really good,
of course.
but at the end of the day, it's not good.
Yeah.
You get poverty. It is literally just
Exactly.
widespread poverty. You think you're going to be living in nice houses and stuff, but realistically, look at communist architecture. Architecture. It's just concrete like flats.
Yeah.
It's not nice. The idea seems good.
And all these kind of idealistic ideas, communism being, I guess, our example, is all the governments which have tried it have all had to be pragmatic. So I would agree with communists that they always say true communism has never been tried, and I'd agree, but they did.
You can't try it. Though.
They did attempt it, but they had to be pragmatic because it just doesn't work. They had to change things.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you can't run a country without order. Because eventually, even if it is all equality, right, you're going to have a leader to organise things. Because eventually it will just turn into anarchism. And that's where true freedom does get hindered upon a lot more. Because once you start having anarchists, you get a lot like sort of like extremist groups almost, you would. And then they'd impose on other people's freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have some sort of inequality to have a functioning society.
You have to have hierarchy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
and whether
hierarchy is just an inherent thing.
And I'm not,
it just happens.
And I'm not saying 1% of the population should hold 50% of the world's money. I'm not saying that because that is just unfair and unjust. But I am saying that you do need a structural order. You do need a leader, and the laity below.
Yeah. The thing is, it's that hierarchies, they're not good. They're not bad.
Yeah.
But if you try and remove them, bad things will happen. So we just have to work with what we've got. Really.
Yeah. And who knows? 50 years time, there might become there might be a new ideology that is so good, it replaces all democracy we have. Who knows? There's sort of different versions of communism coming out each week, But
I think we could do this. Go on.
I don't know. I had a mate that said that once in an argument.
I think you mentioned it to me.
I was kind of annoyed.
That one day there's going to be a good ideology or something.
Yeah.
Well, there might be. Who knows?
Because it was just an argument. I was like, capitalism isn't actually that bad, and then he went, but eventually it just turned into,
Capitalism isn't that bad.
No.
It's just
my thing is capitalism. It isn't that bad. Isn't that good? It's just the thing that works.
Yeah. I do think though capitalism mixed with a little bit of socialism's best.
I don't know.
Like I'm not saying. I think having a public health service like that used to work really well in England.
I don't like.
It's gone down.
I don't like the NHS.
It's gone downhill a lot recently.
Why?
But just through because there's not a lot of money in it.
No, there's more money in it now than there ever has been.
No, but I mean wages wise.
Wages.
They're not being upped enough for doctors to want to do that career.
And
a big part of it is because basically, with the cost of living rising, inflation the last 15 years or so, I guess 17 years now since 2008, right?
Yeah.
So the cost of living's been steadily rising, having jumps even higher. They haven't been upping the wages for doctors and nurses at the same rate. So they spend hundreds of thousands getting these medical degrees, Yeah, a lot on student loans and stuff, but they still got to pay them back, It's a really stressful job, late nights, seeing people die all the time, that sort of stuff. And then they're getting paid not enough to live, or, hardly enough to get by. So there's a really big shortage of doctors in the NHS, and that's causing the NHS waiting times to rise, cost of treatments to rise, all these things. So that's why it's so shit at the minute. If they manage to get the wages under control, and more people would want to go into those careers and stop becoming private doctors and things like that, and more people would be influenced to go into them careers, which would reduce the waiting times.
I don't think the solution to a burning money pile is to throw more money on it.
No, but you need to motivate more people to get into the medical field, because there's not enough. There's the statistic that if you're not earning over 60k a year, you are a burden on the government financially.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, that includes things like the NHS, and that's why they're so poor, because hardly anyone. The average wage is £32,000 in this country, so hardly anyone in this working really good jobs is earning more than 60k a year. So it's you just have to look at it the NHS used to be a good sector. It used to work really well when it was first established, and when I was a child, it was still pretty good. When I was first born and stuff, there was a time, you're older than me, it was even better than before I was born. So it has worked and it has been good under good leadership, but the issue is just recessions and stuff, and they're not sorting out the wages when they could. So all these doctors started to change careers, and no one else. There's a shortage of people doing medical degrees. So, and with more immigration as well, immigration's a big thing, because the more people you have coming over here, let's face it, a lot of them are going to need vaccines and stuff. You're going to have to pump them through. And I'm not saying total immigration is a bad thing. When you got truckloads of boats coming through weekly, it is a bad thing. I'm not saying the people are bad, but I'm saying it is a bad thing for our country. So when you got all these people coming through, it strains the NHS even more. So you have to sort out the wages, sort out the boats and immigration, and then create public schemes to try and convince people to go into medical sectors, and then that will slowly reduce waiting times and help the NHS.
I'm going to reiterate that I don't think, we spend about the same that other countries do. We spend about the same as France does, proportionally.
And
but
it's
they
not
have an
getting any
insurance
better.
rate. Yeah.
I know, but as someone who's been to as someone who's constantly in and out of hospital because of my medical condition and stuff, I'm I'm pretty well versed in the states of hospitals, and they're cheaply built. I will admit they're very cheaply built. If you go in them, you can tell, thin walls and shit. They're falling apart because they're not getting enough funding, and
they get a lot.
They get a lot of funding. But I don't think you realise where a lot of this funding is going.
That's the issue. It's big. It's government. That's the issue.
Yeah, exactly. The government,
and that's why getting rid of
sloppy at these things.
And that's why getting rid of things like NHS England has helped it a bit, because all this money was going to NHS England, right? Which was the administrators for it. So they outsourced administrators, which then pumped loads of money to the administrators and barely any to the actual NHS. Now they've got rid of that. a lot more. Most of the money's actually going to the NHS, but for the amount of hospitals we have and the amount of immigrants coming in and stuff, because don't forget the NHS is England wide and stuff. So every immigrant we come in, they get registered on the NHS. They're getting help,
You,
whether they're a citizen or not. They're getting help.
you just said removing a layer of outsourcing, of a layer of bureaucracy and government has helped it. So
Yeah,
why
but
don't we
that
remove more
it's because it was a private. It was outsourced. It wasn't part of the government. It was an outsourced company set up that then linked all the money in.
I mean, I don't know the specifics, but as far as I know, the NHS is split into different sections, different regions that all compete with each other.
I mean, I'm not a big. I don't know.
Operate
Yeah.
privately within these, and they compete for different resources, which is just so. For example, if you go to a hospital in I don't know anywhere else in
Doncaster.
Chester, right? It's going to be very different from one in Doncaster, for example.
Yeah.
So you get in the worst aspects of the public sector, and the worst aspects of the private sector
Yeah.
into one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously not saying the NHS is perfect, but it used to work. It used to be good. Everything has its ups and downs. If it was private, there'd be shit ones. There'd be good healthcare plans. All of this stuff. So I think it's just bringing it back to the way it was, trying to revive it. It won't be
Surely,
easy, but
if it was private, you'd have the agency to choose which one.
yeah, obviously. But
You
there's going to be
wanted.
shit ones. There's going to be good ones, but it's going to cost a lot. And I'm not saying I think right, if you can go private, go private. I know a lot of people don't say that, and if you can, you should go NHS because for some reason.
No,
No, so I can't remember. I read a thing which was like, you should always go NHS.
that's
But
awful, actually.
yeah, I think if you can go private, you should go private, even if it's for like dentistry, right?
Oh,
Because
bro,
NHS also covers child's for dentistry.
I had the best experience ever at a private dentist. It was great.
Exactly.
I'm pretty private, as in, I think the NHS has been a pretty been a pretty sorry organisation for quite a few years now.
As far as I remember.
If it worked, I'd support it, but it's not working at the moment, and
It's not working.
And I think
And
private. Sorry, but my experience in private healthcare with my ears and things, it's been so much quicker and so much
oh yeah,
better
obviously
and
it
thorough.
is.
And obviously
But
because it's private. But
I'm gonna give you.
given the government have grubby hands when dealing with things
Yeah.
like that. It's a reality. But go on.
I'm gonna give you a fact. So because my mum spoke to my doctors about going private and stuff because it was taking the piss. I've been in the healthcare system for 8 years trying to get a medical diagnosis and stuff, right?
Mhm.
And they went, well, for your surgery, whatever route you go, you'll end up back at the NHS because private practitioners send people to NHS for surgeries, for big surgeries, like what I'm having soon. So even if you go private, you're still going to be linked back to the NHS because they're the ones with the resources. So, and that's also what creates. So you'll get bumped forward in the queue,
Yeah.
but you're still going to end up in NHS care.
Seems like an issue
So-
of government if they only let the best surgeries be performed in the NHS.
Yeah, but it's because they're the most costly, and it's more efficient and better for the private companies if they just go, we're going to refer you to this hospital, and then they'll get it done through the NHS. So even if you go private, the basic stuff like the checkups and if you've got problems with your ears, like you said, hippie boy and stuff, that all will be done privately. But then, like, say you need a heart transplant, right? Go privately for that. you probably could find a private clinic that could do it, but the likelihood is you'd end up back at the NHS hospitals in an NHS ward. It's just the way it is, and that's the way it probably will be for a while. And I'm not saying the NHS system's good by any means at the minute. I think it needs a whole revamp. Just like when Attlee set up the NHS back in 1948. 1948. Like when he set it up, it worked. It was really good. It was really good up until the recessions in 2000s and COVID and stuff, and then it started to go downhill. So it's just really like it needs a modernising. It's very old still, the systems they use, and that's also why it's so poor.
I think it's been said before that it's the UK's first biggest religion.
Yeah, indeed.
So
It's
you
a
can't change it.
it's a golden calf. The NHS. I've seen it referred to as, but it's just one of those things. It's convenient, but it's not even convenient anymore because of the
No.
way it's more convenient now to go private, because I think Ollie mentioned this one time, but he had like a toothache. It's better off just going private straight away than being in a waiting list for over 3 months. It's more cost. It's actually, I'd argue, less costly, because I think pain costs money, kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think it depends how you
It
look.
costs you happiness rather than.
It does. Like with my legs, for instance, I've been waiting 8 years for a diagnosis they could have got in 2 blood tests and an X-ray.
Exactly.
That's how I waited 8 years for that, and it's because they couldn't find anything wrong apparently, but it was just because the doctors were overwhelmed and they had so many other cases to worry about and stuff like that.
Because when you just chuck everything at them, there's less room for excellency. There's less room for thorough examination.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, if you can go private, do it. Don't put a burden on the NHS already. If you need surgery, you'll be sent to the NHS, and I get that. It's where most surgeries happen, important ones.
Yeah,
and I get that, but I also think if you've got a minor headache or something, don't go to A&E and be an extra patient. I hate it when, I hear people that have gone to A&E for a migraine. You didn't need to go. I get why you went, but you didn't need to go. You've just put an extra strain for them telling you to take some paracetamol. And that's what really annoys me. It's just people like hypochondriacs and,
Maybe if there was a cost to it, you probably wouldn't go to the NHS for a migraine.
Well, yeah. But
probably
I
won't
do
waste their
think
time.
there should be.
Yeah.
I think there should be more costs on things like actual medicines. I'm not saying a big cost.
Raise the price of insulin to £700. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. But how in Canada, insulin's £30, $30.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know it sounds like a lot, and obviously I want there to be government schemes for the poorest of the people to get it for free. But I think most households can afford £30 for some medicine, for some paracetamol, whatever. What's that banana medicine called?
I have no
Do you know
idea.
if you know what I'm on about? Have you never had the banana medicine?
Never had the banana medicine.
You've never had the banana medicine?
No.
Oh, you're missing out.
No, I'll say, going back to that point, you're never going to change the NHS, because if you would suggest such a thing.
I think they should just charge you five quid anything.
An appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Even if they charge £5 an appointment, right? That's
going
going
to
to make
less
so
people
much.
go there. I'm telling
Also,
you.
you're going to make so much more money. Because £5 doesn't seem a lot, but think about how many people going in and out of hospitals every day. You know,
Mm.
it will add up, and like you'll make thousands a day, and then that can go towards things like better, equipment, modernization for the softwares,
Yeah. The thing is,
sort of things like that.
people would never settle for it because we are only thinking of instant gratification, whereas we should be looking to, long term. We're thinking about instant gratification. Oh, I can get it for free. There's actually like a test done on children, where children, they gave them the offer: you can have one sweet now,
Marshmallow, or too late.
and the people who had two in like an hour or later, they were more successful in later in life. We need to kind of give up things, right? Give up time for these things to work. But no, we're concerned. Oh, I just want it free now. No, we should make it £5. I don't know the exact ideal price.
Yeah.
But there should be a checkup price that isn't.
I mean,
that gives them enough money.
Even if it's like £2.50 for kids and £5 for an adult.
Yeah, I feel like that would. I feel like that's a fair price. Maybe there's better prices, but we're not experts. We're just shooting the
we're
shit.
not economic. Yeah. Like, and if like the thing that annoys me, right, is no matter who you have in power, I'm not a big Keir Starmer fan. I'm not a big hater. I'm in the middle with him. He has some good things. He has some bad things.
Yeah.
He's not horrible. He's not amazing. But if he put in a policy like that, there'd be outrage. No matter who puts in a policy like that, there'd be outrage.
They'd be labelled as some greedy,
I think it's a bit of career suicide.
I'd do it, and to be honest, I just, it's this mindset comes with democracy. If an absolute leader did that, there'd be no room for outrage. And this isn't me calling for a dictatorship, but
it's true though.
Democracy has got us acquainted with these short-term thrills, right? Because only when we have a leadership, we're only thinking about now, and we're only thinking about in the next 5 years, and I mean that should not be how we look at things. When a leader gets in, they only have minimum over here 5 years. They only have 5 years time to think, really, and that is dreadful. That is appalling.
Also
They should have longer time, and that's why I'm been kind of warming up to just a constitutional monarchy, because I don't think democracies are actually that practical at all, because it's kind of, a lot of it is a waste of time. I'm just gonna say it. We're halting progress.
And I agree. But,
I appreciate the liberty of democracy, but sorry.
It's the least controversial type of like ideology there is. Last for nothing gets done. Autocracy,
And then laissez-faire government.
I mean, that's the whole vibe. Do what you want.
Leave it as it is. Leave to do is the actual meaning in French.
Is it?
Just left as it is. That's what laissez-faire is.
Yeah, I thought it was do as you please or something. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure when it was seen as a laissez-faire government in the UK, it was in Britain, it was a lot of shit got done. I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, when did we have laissez-faire?
I would say between
Wasn't this the classical era? No.
Yeah, I mean 1800s.
That's when Adam Smith probably kicked the bucket, but his ideas were out there, because he was a laissez-faire activist. Well, the first, the guy made capitalism, Well, capitalism's
Yeah,
always been a
19th
thing,
century.
but the guy
Yeah,
wrote
okay,
shit
yeah,
down. You know,
yeah. Let's say fair. Yeah, okay, we did
I don't
during
know.
the
I'm not
during the
laissez-faire about it.
Victorian time.
My
He
my
probably
thing
wrote
is,
shit
it's long term. We need to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
I get your point, LP, and I'm not anti-democratic by any means, but
Yeah.
LP, you're just going. You're doing the Churchill quote, which is democracy's the worst government apart from everything else, and you know it's a fair nominal, opinion. You know, I'd rather be democratic
I'd
than
rather be in a
a
democracy than
fascist
dictator.
government.
Yeah.
I mean, to link it back to what old hippie boy said. He said that it's no coincidence that every democracy, um, all Western democracy,
Is better. Yes.
is done better than any other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you know,
so it's got,
I do think like elections are good for approval, and you know, if a
Yeah.
leader's terrible, they should just go. You know,
Bin them off.
you know,
I know,
that's
I
the
know.
problem. You know, that's the good thing about democracy. If the leader's bad, you can vote them away. But you know, I don't know much about Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, I know quite a bit about this guy.
But
That guy.
he advocated that a ruler, you know, in America, he was like the least democratic founding father. He thought
Yeah.
the people there should only be one election per lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Until
No.
the ruler
Um.
dies, basically a pseudo monarchy of a sort, just not
Yeah.
hereditary.
I mean, yeah. Like he was George Washington's right hand man, and he went outraged when he heard George Washington was resigning. Like he was not a happy chappy. He wanted him to stay. He begged him to stay.
Yeah, I didn't know this. I don't
Like
know much about the guy. I just knew about
so,
this kind of thing.
he designed the American banking
Yeah,
system.
he did the
Wrote
Federalist
most
painting
things. Yeah,
papers. I know he's a
like
whiz.
he wrote 56 of the
The
I think like
Federalist papers.
81. He wrote 56 out of the 81 Federalist papers in 6 months, and each paper is like something like 60 pages long. More than that, he did 56 of them in 6 months with a quill. He was an immigrant child, you know, orphaned. Used to live in the Caribbean, but yeah, he was George Washington's right hand man. When he died, when he said he was resigning, he was outraged because then who's the guy that went to France?
That would
Thomas
be
Jefferson.
Adam
Thomas
Smith.
No, Thomas Jefferson.
I
This was Thomas.
I know Ben Franklin and Smith went to.
Yeah.
But go on.
So Thomas Jefferson then started running, alongside Adam Smith. So Adam Smith was the was in Hamilton's party.
Yeah, I think the Federalists.
Yeah, and then basically Adam Smith got elected, did a terrible job. Got kicked out basically. I'm pretty sure.
Then Jefferson.
And then Jefferson came in, and then John Smith. Then there was before that there was an election between John Smith, right, and Jefferson, and Hamilton slandered John, like, wait, I'm wrong. I'm getting my history mixed now. It was between Aaron Burr and Jefferson for the presidency, and Hamilton used to be really good mates with Aaron Burr, and then turned sour towards him because they were really competitive about law and about the government and stuff, and Burr hated how successful Hamilton was. So then he basically endorsed Thomas Jefferson, which he hated doing, but he had to get back at Burr for some reason. And then Jefferson won, and Hamilton slandered all the members from his own party, and just he went fucking nuts. Basically, he was also gay, allegedly gay or bisexual,
allegedly gay,
because he had a relationship with Tom Lawrence. He was a soldier he fought with, and they'd write each other letters, and then he got shot.
You
But
you
yeah,
seem like
the
quite a
guy
guy.
was an interesting dude. Yeah, he did loads. He developed the banking system.
Yeah.
He made national credit like competitive and centralized it.
Yeah, no, the founding fathers are serious life maxes.
Yeah, he
They,
did a lot.
like all of them are kind of like whizzes. Like I know John
Yeah.
Adams was really smart. You know, not, Jefferson was. There's a quote about Thomas Jefferson. I don't know who said it, but Thomas
He
Jefferson
just
was the last person to know everything. That's the quote.
yeah. Well, he just got high all the time. It was quite funny. Well, not in America, but when he was in France, he got high a lot and slept with loads of women.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
France used to really like America, like
yeah, I know.
because I think they funded them. No, something like that.
Yeah, no, they funded the war.
Yeah,
That's one
because
of the only reasons that America won.
pricks.
Um,
They'd
and
be
they also
okay.
yeah. Imagine if we won the war, though. Imagine how different life would be.
Monarchist
Bro.
America.
I think our empire would still be around. To be honest with
Yeah,
you.
man.
Nah, but life would be different.
It'd be better.
We wouldn't have
It'd be
near
better.
as many advancements.
What? No, we would.
I don't reckon we would.
No, we'd have advancements, just not from the same people. That's what people don't get is, you know, about the Alan Turing thing. All the power to him, what a guy. But we would have
Yeah.
had the computer just later on from a different guy. We're just lucky we
I
had
don't re-
Alan Turing.
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I don't think we'd have it in the same form.
What do you mean?
I don't think, we would have had it and then it would have linked to von Neumann architecture and things like that.
Why?
I just don't think it would have. It's like the butterfly effect, change one thing, other things
Yeah.
change.
I don't know.
I think trying to get at is you have to have all the building blocks for something to exist, and
Yeah.
it will.
I'm listening to
Um,
classical music for some reason.
That's
It's
great.
good. Actually,
I don't know. It's just
it gets you locked in a bit.
Yeah, I used to
Edinburgh
when I,
Break.
when I was writing for when I was writing for uni, I like to put it on. It's good.
Yeah, nah, it's good. I'm listening to Pig Suit number 1.
Mm.
Up.
I know who that is.
It's by Edvard Grieg.
I just put the classical channel on the radio.
With some Scouser.
Scouser. Why would the Scouser talk about classical
No.
music?
Donny.
I really
Some
like fucking
bastard.
Bach. Bach.
Yeah,
No, Bach.
I know Bach.
Yeah.
Love a bit of Bach.
No,
too.
Mozart. Ebenezer Mozart.
Ebenezer Mozart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, no, is that his name?
No,
No, it's Wolfgang Ebenezer Mozart.
is this a middle name Ebenezer?
No
Yeah.
way, his name's Ebenezer.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Mozart.
No, it's Wolfgang Amadeus, you fool.
Amadeus.
Say,
I don't know. I got
Ebenezer.
Amadeus wrong.
I know where you got Ebenezer from, but
What?
you got it from a small book.
Fucking
From Charles Dickens.
Christmas carols.
Yeah,
It's because I've been reading it, man. Leave me alone. I was reading it last night.
I definitely think the computer would still exist.
Yeah, it would just be by someone else.
Yeah, I mean, you already had the idea of it, with the difference engine.
With Ada Lovelace.
I mean,
Ada
Ada Lovelace did write the first program for the difference engine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had
We learned
Boolean
about
logic invented in Doncaster, may I add.
Oh, shit. Yes and no. True and false.
Logic.
God, no logic's ever been done in Donny.
Yeah, as Boolean logic.
Only logic ever.
What did Doncaster actually invent? I don't think we invented them.
What did Tunbridge Wells invent? Actually, no, fucking bleep that, man.
They're not gonna try. They're not gonna. The two people watching this aren't gonna be bothered enough to track you down.
No.
Nah, they might, man. What happens if this blows up and they all know I live in T Wells?
Well,
I used to really care that people didn't know where I live, but I just realized it doesn't matter really, actually. And then, yeah, no,
nothing
I
matters.
don't really care. Nothing is real. Nothing ever happens. That's
It's
the
like
thing.
that song.
What song?
Nothing really matters.
Is that a
I
song?
tried so hard and got so
far.
far.
Is that Linkin Park?
And Linkin Park.
Your mum's
like it.
favourite band, isn't it?
It is. It is.
This podcast is really degrading.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
I
think
mean,
it's-
I think it
we
is.
were doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah, well, we've done it for 2.5. We've done it for 1 hour,
What's-
1.5 hours, nearly 2
What's
hours.
another point that we can make, or one else to talk about?
Come to
Great.
Yeah, well, you just broke the fourth wall, and today this podcast's.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Can't do that in
Shit.
a podcast.
Sorry, no, this isn't a podcast.
All right. Would you love your girlfriend if she was an insect?
Fucking hell, I get this from her. Don't.
Would you
Bring it in
if I was a
here.
worm?
No, well, yeah, I wouldn't because you'd be a big ass worm.
Why wouldn't you though?
Because do you know when you play I can't remember what game it is, but they've got them sandworms, the really
No.
big. Do you know June? With
Yeah.
the sandworms and the really big fucking mouths, the sandworms.
You know worms live years.
Worms have ears.
Yeah, they live. No, they live years. They live for
Why would
years.
they not
Do
live for
they?
years?
Because they're fucking worms. How long does a fly live for?
Like a few days.
Yeah,
Depends what
exactly.
fly.
Small
Some
things
only a
don't live
couple
long,
hours.
but worms live for years.
Why? No, I don't like that fact.
You know worms. You know it's called a clitellum. That little band thing on them. That separates their genders. They're both male and female. They're hermaphrodites.
Like
So they can
seahorses.
breed with each other.
I don't know. You know, a snake can spontaneously give birth, so they actually fuck themselves. They're the only creature who can
Yeah.
go fuck themselves. I don't know if that's true. It was on The Sopranos,
No.
so I could be just fucking lying.
I think they might just be lie. I'm going to be
Okay.
completely honest.
Yeah, but worms live for years, and that's
I don't like that fact though.
I like that fact. You know
Yeah.
No, that freaks me out.
why? It's a
think of it.
worm. They don't do anything.
When I
Yeah, but it's a
when I was
worm.
when I was 11, right, I could have picked up a worm,
That was
and it
older
could still
than
be
you.
alive now.
Mate, I don't think they live for 7 years.
They
7
do.
years.
It can live for 7 years. Google it.
Fuck off.
In fact, they live for 4 to 7 years on average.
No, go away. So my baby, there's a worm that's alive right now that's the same age as my younger brother.
Possibly.
That's
Yeah, the
mental.
oldest cat was born in 1995 as well.
No, I find that fact cool. It's 30.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
great.
that. I like that. See,
don't
that's
like
a
worms,
cool
though.
fact. No, that's
Great.
I don't like worms. They're too slimy and wiggly.
No, worms are great. Worms are like top 20 animals, I'd say.
God, no,
Fucking
they're
20.
not.
God, that you have a low bar. I mean, you say that fish.
Worms are great. Fish is the
Mate,
best.
just because you look like a fucking plump
It
one.
goes fish, pigeon, cat,
Fish.
orangutan.
Fish. You
Yeah.
really being that broad?
I just like going. Right,
You've got
whenever-
really
whenever-
specific animals.
I mean,
After that,
I mean, a
and you
fish.
start off with fish.
Fish includes a sharks, includes
The
whales,
blobfish.
dolphins.
Whales aren't fish.
I know.
Whales-
I'm taking a piss.
Good.
They
Say
look,
it right.
they look like fish.
Jellyfish.
You look like fish.
Hey,
It
hey,
involves
stop
it
breaking my
involves
balls, alright?
dolphins.
Don't break my
It
balls.
involves
I don't-
dolphins.
I told him. No. Okay, I just like saying that fish is my favorite animal because it gets people annoyed.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
it's not a friggin'
Okay.
animal. It's a species.
it is an animal. No, it's not a species.
Yeah, it's a species.
No, it's a
No,
fish.
it's not a species.
Well, it is
It's
a
a
friggin'
fish.
species. Because
No,
there
it's
are
a
millions
fish.
of types of fish.
Fish.
Yeah, there's been types of
I don't think they're a species though.
dogs.
They are
No.
a
Dogs
friggin'
are still animals.
species.
I'm still
No,
allowed to say
no,
dogs
they're
are
not.
birds are
They're not.
species.
They're not a species.
They're a thing.
They-
Like
they've
mammals
got
are a
spe-
species.
No,
They're
but
literally
they
animals.
no, but fish have got species in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Blue-
species
Like
are
dogs.
goddamn dolt.
Oh wait, no shit, no, you are right.
What?
No, fish on, fish on,
Am I
fish
right
on.
or when am or am I
No,
wrong?
no, no.
Now you got to pick a specific
No.
fish.
Oh
You know,
no, fish are considered
I,
animals.
I'll give you a goddamn
No,
species.
no,
I'll
he's
give you a
right. No,
goddamn fish.
Ollie's right.
A
Ollie's right.
clownfish.
Ollie's right.
Yes!
Fish are considered an
They
animal.
are an animal, but it's not
They're,
one
they're a
animal.
vertebrate animal that lives on the water
It's just
and has gills.
yeah, but it's like a thing. It's not. There's not one fish.
Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah, it's
no,
a
I
thing.
do. I do agree with Hippie Boy that you can't go fishies are my favorite animal
But it is an
because
animal.
because there's multiple types.
There's multiple types of dogs.
Yeah, so you say
Yeah.
your favourite type of dog.
No, you don't. You say dogs.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but there's a lot
no,
more
you know,
fish
you know
than
what they
dogs.
say.
dogs.
You know what they say. There's plenty of fish in the sea, so you got to pick one fish.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll give you a fish.
Okay.
You're a friggin' clownfish.
Oh, so he's trans.
What?
They can change their gender.
Yeah, that's.
So can seahorses.
Yeah.
Seahorse thing.
That's kind of
Bub.
mental. I didn't realize how small seahorses were. Look at sorry.
Thought they were
I have pet seahorses.
No.
You know.
What?
I just made that up. I'm lying.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
feel,
say.
I feel like you know that. You
No.
know. I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send a photo.
You
to
know,
Jamie, right?
I actually, I'm partially blind, so I train dogs.
Why the fuck would you lie about that? It's just.
I don't know. The thing is, I don't think old Show knows anything about that.
No, he wouldn't.
Huh?
It's an inside joke.
Okay, so I'm looking at baby seahorses.
What's the cutest baby animal?
Seahorse.
Fish.
Shit.
Shut up, man.
Should I be
You
fish?
fucking twerp.
Okay. Right. There's more species of beetle than anything else. Okay. Right.
Mate,
So,
and I've
am I
never
allowed
said
to say-
beetle. I've
am I
never
allowed to
said
say beetle?
beetles. No.
why am I allowed to say beetle?
Say like a rhino beetle or a stag beetle.
Yeah, mate, you're a dung beetle.
Yeah, but I like all types of beetles.
All right. Well, yeah,
Mate,
but you
why
can't
would
like
you
all
like a
types of
beetle?
fish.
Yeah, I can. I like all types of fish.
Yeah,
Mate, have you seen an angler
yeah, but a
fish?
shark is a fish.
No. No.
What do you mean no?
No.
When the fuck did
You
you become the fish expert?
Fish tomologist.
What, do you,
over
I
here.
bet you get offended when people eat fish and chips. You friggin' reptile.
Excuse me, I'm very acquainted with fish and chips.
Is that why?
Yeah,
is that
we
why
can
fish
tell.
is your favourite animal? You eat fish.
Yeah.
Just want to eat them.
when they
I don't
ask me
care
about-
what colour it is. Just
when they
get
go
me
to
in my
had a
belly.
haddock, I say I just want fish, mate. That's what
Just want I just want a slice of fish.
Yeah.
Who asked for a slice of fish?
no batter. It ruins it.
It ruins it. I feel like you get some funny looks.
But no.
No.
Everyone looks straight ahead. It doesn't make eye contact with it.
Alright, give me a second. I've got You, of course, you like fish.
You smell like lovely person.
I
Anyway,
smell like what?
You smell like a great person. But there's bony fish, cold-blooded fish. Yeah, I like fish. I like pigeons. Pigeons are my favourite actual animal. My favourite type.
You know, there's been a lot of pigeons because it's been rainy, and they get all fat from the rain. Have you seen them after rain? It makes them
No.
really fat.
Has it been rainy where you live?
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
live
Been quite-
really far away.
It's been quite sunny where I am.
It's been raining today. It's rained so much today.
It's rained today as well, but other than that, it's been quite sunny.
It's been quite a wet June for me.
Why are you larping as a crab?
Why not?
What?
Yeah, it's a status thing.
It's a Discord bio.
All right, LP, you're doing English. What's your favourite poem?
Ooh,
I haven't done poems yet.
What?
Yeah.
mine's germ.
Mine's
Germ?
Ozymandias.
Yeah,
Oh,
like-
this guy
like-
knows his shit.
That is the best. No, I don't like Ozymandias. It's not got any.
It's not got any good, unique ideas.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Waterstones. I bought something else, but I would have bought some Percy Shelley because why the fuck not? You know, he made a lit poem. You know,
Yeah,
I'd read more.
but he got a banger such as Ozymandias. Obviously.
You know, you're probably
I
a
would
pretty
know.
good poet.
Yeah. No, but this guy's better. Whatever the
Yeah,
fuck he's
well,
called.
no name over there.
Yeah.
You know what they say about poems though is that you can never. They're only good in the original language. Then they're terrible when translated. So if you had a French poem, you translated it to, English. It's just not as good.
You just never know.
You have to read them in the original language and recite them in the original language. So Ozymandias translated just doesn't go as hard.
Goes way too hard.
Yeah, but I think if a poem goes hard translated, it must have gone hard
Yeah, but
in the original
the thing is,
language.
very few do go hard in
Yeah.
translation.
Seen a pigeon. Fuck. Seen a chicken wearing shoes before. That's one of my favorite
What,
videos.
in
I
the
think.
wild?
Yeah, yeah, wild.
Did it have like a waistcoat as well?
No, it just had a chicken.
In
It just had a
shoes?
chicken.
Yeah. You want to see?
Yeah.
Jamie, pull it up. It's a chicken wearing shoes. I'll post it.
Oh wow, that looks oddly human. That's fucked up.
That AI?
No, it's real.
Have you
Don't
seen
like
the
that.
dog from Wish? Have you seen
What?
Dog from
What?
Wish. Oh,
What about King Charles?
What?
oh,
What? Do you like the monarchy?
I found it. It's when you
Joke.
buy a dog from Wish.
Oh. Yeah, I know about the dog from Wish.
I'll send it for LP. That is fucked up.
What the I really don't like that. It's missing
like
its
the-
middle.
Reindeer from Wish.
I don't like that.
Reindeer from Wish.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll get it.
Are we going to end the podcast?
No. Go.
No.
I mean, I'm quite tired and I want to head to bed. And I got to let my dogs out and stuff, so I might head off.
Oh wait, yeah, we'll wrap it up.
Are we going to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So,
uh,
it's been a good podcast, boys.
been good.
Nearly 2 hours long, this one. I wonder if Vinyl 5-5 staying to the end.
Shout out
Put
to
a little-
Vinyl 55.
Put a shout out, put a little wave in the comments if you watch to the end.
Bread if you watch the whole video.
And like and subscribe.
Click the bell.
Like-
Click the bell. We
For the-
upload every week. Podcast.
And make sure and go watch Boy and Scientist. It's nearly a year. It's over a year old.
Nearly a year old, guys. Go watch it.
I'm so tired. I can't speak.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Did it.
I'm gonna go.